Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trip Around the Multiverse with your host, the Commissioner of Gotham City, Kyle Charles, and
The Dark Knight Detective, CY Chung.
we are here in this new episode to talk about the early days of the Cape Crusader, the Dark Knight himself, Batman, and we're going to be covering the story arcs of Batman Year 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So Batman Year One is by Frank Miller and David Chen?
That's
How do you
not
pronounce
right.
that guy's name? I don't know.
I don't
Anyways,
know.
they are the issues of Batman, the Batman comic,
Yep.
404 to 407, and it was in 1987.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you know what? I will title everything as we're going along. So let's just specifically talk about Year One now as we've run through the titles and stuff.
Cool.
What did you think of it? Have you this the first time you read it, or you?
This is the first time I read it.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and it threw me off that this was done in 1987 because
Yeah.
how it looks, like how it's
Yeah.
drawn and everything, I thought it was literally from like the 2000s onwards.
Now, so you read the graphic novel?
Yeah.
All right, because I've got the original issues,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you can kind of tell by the coloring it is done in that era and that time. I think they updated the coloring to make it look like every time they reissue it
Yeah.
or new editions, or they recolor it. And I have seen the new colored editions as well, and they look much better, as in more modernized.
Yeah.
The older versions look like more kind of watercolor paint-ish sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so you've never read? Have you read any of these? You haven't read any of the
Nope. I haven't
Batman
read
one,
any
two,
of it.
also.
I've
Okay.
watched the animated movie of Year 1, but I
Yeah.
haven't read.
All right. So tell me from your perspective, because I read these first and then I watched the Year One.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, the other way around, tell me, what did you think?
Um, I found the animated movie quite boring.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't the best at the DC animated movies.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know, just didn't like it. And I think that kind of put me off of reading Year 1 or these years later.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And then, what did you think of Batman Year One when you actually did read it?
and I actually did read it. I think I might have spoken about this before. I have
Yeah.
a hard time reading comics from back then,
Yeah.
but I actually enjoyed reading this. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like super wordy like comics did back then.
Yeah.
It,
I tell you what is kind of odd as well. I mean, in a good way.
yeah,
This is like a detective noir-ish story.
yeah,
But it basically because it's from the perspective of Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne in two separate parts, like they're
yeah,
concurrently running at the same time.
yeah,
So yeah, it's like one's a detective story, and the other's kind of like a lower street level super adventure
yeah,
ish, like a vigilante adventure, not a superhero because it's not using gadgets and stuff. And in a way, like you say, it's kind of a bit. I want to say timeless. In a way, you can't tell what kind of era it's based in.
no, that's just quite
Uh,
cool.
Yeah, other than the cars, for example, right?
Yeah, but
You can tell the models are. Or I mean, until we get to a point where there are flying cars and stuff like that, you
yeah,
won't be able to, you won't think that this is not taking place in the last 50 or so. Any of those decades.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So what's good there? I mean, there's no like technology that's out of date in this as well.
no,
Because I don't think they reference anything particular, like the computer, no big bulky computers on none of that stuff.
no, none of it is. It's like you said, it's pretty well done.
Yeah,
It's like if you remember the Batman animated cartoon, the original one,
yeah,
the
yeah,
first seasons, it you got that feeling that it was in like the 30s or something. But then when it moved later on,
yeah,
it came to like this kind of timeless. You didn't know when it was set, which kind of helped
mm,
it when they transitioned into like Justice League and stuff. So it kind of
yeah.
helped that, which I thought that's cool. Don't date yourself
Okay.
automatically.
Any particular points that stood out to you as you were reading it?
One of them was that this is more of a Gordon story,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool because they
yeah,
really
yeah.
touch upon Gordon that much, do they? He's just that guy.
In a way, like the way I see it is they're co-leads. But the funny thing is,
Yeah,
like you're saying, more things seem to happen on Gordon's end,
Yeah.
whereas Bruce is kind of creating stuff to happen on his end, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like,
He's creating his own problems rather
yeah,
than.
no. But Bruce is creating his own adventure. Gordon's stuck in an adventure that's everyone else is causing problems for him.
Yeah. I also
So it's kind of
liked.
cool. It's kind of cool the different way that
Mm,
the concurrent stories are being told as well.
I also liked how they had like the dates of everything was going on, like
Yeah,
July, whenever,
yeah.
whenever. That
Now,
was
funny enough, as well,
hmm.
that just means I know it causes a little bit of a problem when you start looking at it. Like, okay, if these are the
Hmm.
dates specific, and
Yeah.
this whole year no villains, like none of his classic villains are happening,
Yeah.
then kind of when they retcon certain things to happen in year one in his first year, then and or the entire calendar is already taken up basically from mobsters and corrupt cops, then you
Yeah.
can't really fit them in. But
No.
I think the way that people look at this is that okay, it's just an adventure that happens in a certain amount of time now,
Yeah.
rather than it all happens in all year one.
Yeah. Yeah. And even so, the month like maybe the times in between are not documented, so
Yeah, it's true.
could have happened or whatnot. So yeah, it's kind of there was some things I questioned
Okay,
about
hit
here.
me.
All right, this is meant to be canon, right? This is in continuity, right?
This is post-crisis continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but not. I think they're not saying specifically it's New 52
No.
continuity.
New 50C don't exist anymore. But um, so Barbara Gordon,
Which one?
Barbara Gordon Jr. This is another problem I have with the Gordon
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
So she's meant to be younger than her brother James Gordon Jr., right?
Yeah.
So
No,
she's
is it?
I don't
No,
know.
no. I'll explain, but you go first.
So is she born yet or she hasn't been born yet?
Okay.
Because then if we like flash forward to like
Yeah,
3 years later in Batman Year 3 or even Batman Year 2,
yeah,
Dick Grayson's who's about 8.
yeah, yeah.
So
Now, let me give you the explanation that was run by me when I was reading certain things. You
okay.
are correct. Barbara Gordon Senior, Gordon's first wife,
Yeah.
yeah, has a son in Batman Year One, who's
Yeah.
James Gordon Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Barbara Gordon Jr. Technically not junior because she's his niece, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But she isn't.
Yeah.
So she is junior, but not the junior of Barbara Gordon, his current wife here. He had an affair with his sister-in-law or something like that.
Bloody
Um,
hell.
and so they could say Barbara Gordon's his niece and then
Yeah.
retcon it as is his daughter.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So she was born before this all started, as far as that's concerned.
Okay. Cool.
Don't know what period. To be fair, James Gordon might have just had a daughter out of wedlock. Who knows? She's not mentioned here, but doesn't mean that she doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, because that's the only
All
thing
right.
confused me. I was like, because I was reading it thinking, is he gonna mention he already has a kid?
Yeah.
I kept
Yeah.
like reading, waiting for it to happen, and it never happened.
Now, I do believe as well as his sister-in-law, and probably I don't know if it was Barbara Gordon's sister,
Yeah,
she could name it after her sister and be all right. But if it's say Gordon's brother that he
yeah,
had, yeah, then it kind of like that makes no sense because then Barbara Gordon's still Gordon in her surname, so it's a very awkward one.
yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, but yeah, no. As far as that's what I read. That's how they cleared this up afterwards. Because yeah, Barbara Gordon's meant to be the daughter.
Yeah,
However, they might have always had it as his niece and then adjusted to his daughter afterwards, and
yeah, could have.
then they readjusted everything else behind it.
That makes sense.
Uh,
Another weird thing.
yeah,
All right, so Bruce is 25 in it, 25
yeah,
years old in it, right?
yeah,
And it says he's been gone from Gotham for 12 years.
yes,
So he left Gotham when he was 13 to travel to become Batman.
yes. Apparently, yeah.
Didn't no one question that a 13-year-old just disappeared?
Well, that's why they always thought he was dead when he came back. Well, I mean, in Batman Begins, anyways.
Yeah,
So
Batman
there was kind of,
Begins.
but to be fair, he looked like he. I think in Batman Begins, he either left when he was 18 or 20 or something like that.
I think he left when he's 18. Yeah,
Yeah.
in that. Okay, cool.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think they mention it. They just say he's disappeared. I mean, he went and returned after 12 years abroad. All
Yeah.
right.
Because I
Yeah.
know in Batman Begins, he goes off to boarding school or something, then he comes back, and then
Yeah.
that's when he does the disappearing act, and then comes
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Let me ask you as well. Now that you've seen Batman Begins before you read this, did
Yeah.
you notice that they took a lot from this?
Yeah.
They wrapped it in a different type of setting. They took a lot of story points
Yeah.
from Batman Year One and wrapped it up differently, and presented Batman Begins. Not to say they just ripped it off because
No.
they did enough changes to make it something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, you notice there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Which it made it more for a mainstream audience how they done
Yeah.
it in Batman Begins.
Yeah. And to be fair, Batman Begins is more of a adventure story, where this is a kind of a smaller scale crime story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you, because clearly you read it.
Yeah.
What Holly Robinson and
Yeah.
Selena Kyle.
That's one of the first things I noticed. Like, oh, that's Catwoman and Catwoman 2.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah. Did you see
But they're
that?
prostitutes. Cool.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay.
Well,
Here's the
dominatrixes.
thing, right? Yeah. No. But here's the thing, right? They retconned this with Selena Kyle,
Yeah.
saying that she never was a prostitute. She was on the run for some
Yeah.
reason. I think Falcone was kind of trying to find her or something. I don't know
Yeah.
specifically, and she hid out here. Now,
Okay.
technically, you could argue you never see her do anything that is kind of that kind of
Yeah.
red light vibe.
Yeah.
Or I mean, she could just been like beating up. It should be hanging out the area or just whipping someone. So it kind of is a bit ambiguous, but you kind
Yeah.
of get the
You can
idea
take
that
it as in like she was their enforcer,
yeah.
like for the ladies of the night. So
Yeah.
I'll get that.
But Holly Robinson though,
Yeah,
you can't
no.
you can't really go too much with what she's saying.
No.
Goodness me.
I read that, I was
I read
like,
it. Did you laugh at the audacity of it, or
Yeah, I
did you
did.
think this is creepy?
I was like, you couldn't write that now.
Mm.
And as well, and she's underage, dude. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just made me kind of laugh then when I read it back. It's like, yeah. So this is a well-written crime story by Frank Miller, and here's the thing: you go from this to more modern-day Frank Miller, and it starts getting into, I want to say parody, but over the topness. I don't know if you read Holy Terror, but come on, that's probably the pinnacle of craziness.
Yeah, I heard his latest. What was it? Dark Knight. What was it called?
The Golden Child?
Yeah, I heard that's a bit bat crap insane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dark Knight Returns is really good, but yeah. I think it just gets wackier and wackier as it goes along. A bit like the Sin Cities, where it starts getting they do start getting a bit more cartoonishly violent as they go along as well.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah. Any other things you know from this?
Gordon's not a very nice person in a way.
Wait, you talking about Laura husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like he was sneaky about it either. He was like so obviously like cheating on her.
Yeah, well, no, technically yes and no. He was emotionally cheating on Barbara Senior, even though she was pregnant, because he never did kind of get with Sarah Essen.
But he says he loves her, so
Yeah. They didn't actually get together, even though I think at the time in the comics they were together, like in current Batman continuity.
Yeah, I remember that because she dies in
No Man's Land.
That's it. Yeah, Joker shoots her or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great guy.
Yeah.
So Um, there was another funny thing of something that Gordon says. I was like, that makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Go on, go
You
on.
know, he keeps going on about he sort of hates the job, whatever it is.
Yeah,
And he goes, I keep telling myself it's either this job or pumping gas. I'm like,
yeah.
one you need qualifications for, the other one you don't really need.
I think it's more of okay. So I've made it this far in my career,
Yeah,
and I'm going to get a certain amount of money.
yeah,
If I pump gas, I'm going to get way less money. I'm basically a lieutenant here.
yeah. I just thought it was a
Uh,
weird comparison. You're like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I think I took it as a money thing.
yeah, it took the money thing as well, but it's like, but you worked your way to this point. It's not
Yeah.
like you turned up one day and go, "Hey, you're a lieutenant." You know what I
Another
mean?
thing, funny enough, you didn't point out, but
Yeah.
notice in most Batman continuity, Gordon's always been in Gotham City,
Yeah,
whereas this he's been transferred to Gotham City
yeah,
from working elsewhere. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes. I don't want to say it kind of makes more sense, but this story it makes more sense because of the corruption that he's up against,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a fresh new cop in town.
yeah,
Whereas if it was always been corrupt, not saying that he has to be part.
of the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Just more of he'll probably be more wary of how he's going to do stuff.
Yeah,
Here he walks in thinking, "Oh, this is going to be like any other city," except that it isn't, and then he gets beaten up and because he doesn't take bribes and stuff like that.
yeah. So I like that point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, now that you explained it as well, I like it even more. But the only thing I kept on thinking of was like in some of the Batman cartoons and even in Batman Begins,
Yeah.
Gordon was there when Bruce's parents died.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Even
it brings that
Gotham.
connection to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more for the dramatic license, though.
Yeah.
Because if they're two strangers, well, here it's better because it's kind of they're two strangers essentially in the same city, both having the same kind of viewpoint, and they have to team up with each other out of necessity.
Yeah.
So that kind of strengthens their bond.
Yeah. They both want to
Yeah.
try and get the same thing for this crappy city.
Whereas in the other continuities, it's like that Bruce goes to Gordon because he knows him from that point. And it's just kind of like, okay, that it's a different tweak to the relationship.
Yeah. Like I was saying before, this is more for like that tweak. Not the
Yeah.
tweak, sorry. Them knowing each other from Bruce being a kid is again for like the more mainstream, easier to understand
Yeah.
for like the audience rather than
Well, it's also better here because they've got to earn each other's trust.
yeah,
Whereas in the other continuities, we'd say Bruce already trusts Gordon.
yeah.
So it's like,
It's a one-way street.
yeah. It's like, okay, I already trust him, and I just want to make him trust me.
Yeah,
Whereas when we both don't know each other, then the tension is a bit more understandable.
dramatic. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. This, by the way, is also when Bruce is wearing I want to say the cloth costume, but it's definitely not armor.
no, it's like a jumper and grey jogging bottom sort of combination.
Yeah. We'll just go. We're gonna take. We could even argue that it's lined for impact, but
Yeah.
not bulletproof or anything like that because it can tear.
Yeah, because you get shot. You get shot.
Like
in
some
the
sort, some shock absorbent, whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just bypass that because it could be just the standard lifer costume at this point, but
yeah.
what's it called? What do you think of the actual suspect list? If you know what I mean. So Gordon actually he's been told to investigate who the Batman might be.
Yeah.
And it's like a little good side investigation from the corrupt people of Gotham because they're like, Batman's causing problems. Gordon, you're going to find out who he is. And then he's going to Harvey Dent, going to Bruce Wayne. He's going logically
Yeah,
to
who would?
the suspects. Yeah.
Because he kind of thinks it's Bruce Wayne at this point, isn't it? Anyway, because he goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this guy because who would do this? And like,
Yeah.
all right. No.
Well, who had the resources to do
Yeah.
that?
Like,
And then Bruce fakes that they have to have there's the bit where he beats up all the SWAT officers that come after him,
yeah,
and he gets shot in the leg and the arm or something like that, right?
yeah,
So then Bruce goes on a skiing trip that he pretends he hurt himself and he got one of the people on call to answer Gordon's call and say, "Oh yeah, I've injured these body parts. But I'm over here, so
Yeah.
there's no way I could be over there where Batman is." Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
that's
was like,
quite cool.
okay, yeah. And he goes to Harvey Dent, of course, because Harvey Dent is like got his war on crime, and
Yeah.
like, oh, could you be the Batman? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
like an investigation that actually is attempting to investigate. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because some, in comics or programs and stuff, they just kind of just sometimes shortcut to these are the suspects.
Yeah. Without a reason behind them being the suspects.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or they shortcut evidence and say, okay, it's this person because of this, and then just go straight, you know.
Yeah.
About I don't want to say the most greatest of proof. It's just for the story purposes. They need to investigate someone.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
I also liked about this whole little thing was like, everyone has this picture of Batman being Batman. I always say it.
Right?
Yeah. And this one, he's like the worst.
No, okay, I'll put it this way.
Not the worst, but
no. But he's like there's a learning curve, and you can actually see it.
yeah, like when he nearly kills that kid by accident by kicking him off the.
No. He growls at the kid,
That's it. Yeah.
and the kid just tumbles off the fire escape.
Yeah.
And he had to grab the kid, and then another guy's kicking him in the face.
He's like, ow.
Yeah, and then he had to take them all down. But it's just like, yeah, it's messy, but that's
Yeah.
kind of is what kind of you would expect from a guy who's just done his training and come back and decided, oh, you know what, this is what I'm going to try and do. Because they like as we were saying, where he meets Holly Robinson and Selena Kyle, let's fight that pimp.
Yeah.
And then the police, he had to fight some couple of police officers, crash their car so he can escape as well. And then he has pulled their bodies out of the car,
Yeah.
so they don't blow up.
See, and every other like interpretation of Batman now, he's always been like awesome. But it's
Yeah.
like, no.
No, that's what's good about this. He's like, he needs allies at this point because he's not super effective either.
No.
By himself.
Yeah. But yeah, didn't have anything I didn't like about this story, except for actually even the Gordon stuff. It humanized him, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. What do you think of the end where? Okay, so Gordon's newly born son is being kidnapped by the mobsters, right?
Yeah.
And so Gordon chases after them, and Bruce also chases after them.
Yeah.
So then, the guy gets shot. The guy who's holding the kid gets shot, and he's trying to stab Gordon. And he's also got, they both Gordon tumbles off the bridge with the guy, and Bruce dives down.
Yeah.
To save the kid.
Yeah.
And then Bruce is handing James Gordon Jr. to James Gordon Sr. And James Gordon says, "Oh, well, I haven't got my glasses on, and without my glasses, I'm effectively blind." Yeah. Do you think that's plausible deniability for Gordon? Because he basically just knows who Bruce is, but he's just pretending that he doesn't.
I think it depends how you want to see it. It's like left open to interpretation. Like maybe he does know. Maybe he legit couldn't see.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of good about that, because it's like, if he does know, he's been kept a secret for over a decade, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't know, well, that's fine as well, because he's not going to... The guy's helped him. He saved his son. He's just going to have the guy's back now.
Yeah. Until year 2. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get it in a minute, yeah.
Just to tail off the end of it, I don't know when you were watching Batman Begins, did this happen to you, but at the end, where Gordon's on the rooftop with Batman...
Yeah.
And bat signal and all that, and then Gordon's talked to Batman about another guy who likes theatricality and stuff, and starts handing the card. People in my cinema were whispering, "Oh, Joker."
Yeah.
And obviously Batman turns the card over to Joker. So
yeah.
But here, that's what it is, on the rooftop with. I want to say on the rooftop with the bat signal, but
it's on the rooftop.
Yeah, Gordon's like, "Oh, okay, there's another crazy out here." Calls himself the Joker. I got a friend who might be coming to help.
Yeah.
He'll be here in a minute, and he's obviously waiting for Batman. And that's when the story ends.
I thought he was waiting for Superman, if I'm honest.
but I don't want to say it's like they Batman Begins basically not stole the ending, but kind of okay.
Yeah, it took it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sets up the next adventure.
Yeah. Before we move on to number 2,
Yeah.
you did notice the Superman reference, didn't you?
You have to be a bit more specific.
Yeah. Well, something happens, and Batman and Alfred are talking, and he goes,
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna start flying like the guy. Soon you'll be taking up flying like the guy in Metropolis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what I'm saying?
I was like,
though he would have been completely out of place in a story like this.
Yeah.
Because of the mood.
Yeah.
And the character, and it's a crime story. It's not about people with powers and stuff.
Well, I always thought Batman came before Superman.
All right, here's the tricky thing, right? Because Batman, depending on the continuity, I think at this point in continuity, they're all saying Batman's an urban legend.
Yeah.
So even if he did come before Superman in the DC universe, people are just like, it's whispers. The Batman, does he exist?
Yeah.
Does he exist? So it could go either way at that point.
Yeah, no, I always thought, because of, I don't know if I've made this up or something. Yeah. Doesn't Superman, he doesn't become Superman till he's like 32, right?
Till he is 32.
Yeah, something happens.
Oh, you're thinking of Man of Steel, where he doesn't become Superman until he's 33 because Christ.
Yeah.
And they're not subtle about it. I think Superman's 25 as well. If the comic book version of Man of Steel, the John Byrne reboot, I think he's 25 there as well.
Okay. Because I was getting that confused. Because I keep thinking of that, and then Superman 1 when he goes to that weird cocoon or whatever, and then he ages.
Oh yeah, and he's like 30 years old when he comes out when he steps out of there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought, okay, that makes sense.
I think they're both meant to be 25.
I always had the feeling that Batman was older than Superman because it feels that way. But
oh well, he's just been through more.
Yeah, literally.
But like I say, it's the personality that comes through because I don't want to say Superman's got that kind of all-American farm boy personality, and Batman's like grim dark, so it just makes him seem older.
Yeah, yeah.
Superman is not like, for example, is a guy on a wild adventure, but Batman is a jury guy.
Yeah, he's been through the ringer.
Yeah,
cool.
Right, so thumbs up for Batman Year One, right?
Yeah, up.
All right, now let me say, Batman Year Two, 4-part storyline, 1987 as well. Yeah. This was for Detective Comics 575 to 578 by Mike W. Barr and illustrated by Alan Davis, Paul Neary, and Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, that McFarlane art.
Yeah. What did you think of this? By the way, did you read the Full Circle, right? Which is like the conclusion to this, would take place years afterwards.
Yeah. This was, at first it threw me off. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Okay. But as I read it more and more and more, I liked it. Even though there's like some weird, questionable
choices, yes.
Bruce Wayne shenanigans.
Oh, I was going to say character choices or written choices, because there's some bits where I do agree with you. There's bits of both.
Yeah. He's, I don't know, to me, like the Reaper I like the Reaper character. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne was a bit, shall we say, stalkery.
Okay.
Towards
Rachel. I don't disagree. All I'm saying is, when I first read this, and this is, by the way, in the Superstore, and I just remember the image of Batman just in my head. He was floating in the sewers with that cross slash on his chest. He wasn't actually, but that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Because he was laying in his own blood out in the Batcave and stuff like that. The Reaper, basically, the first person he's encountered that beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, literally.
And let me just say, from this Portal Park storyline, I thought the first issue was really good,
Yeah.
and it set up the rest of the story. Except the rest of the story wasn't that good because
Yeah.
there's like some contrived circumstances, like you're saying, some stalkerish bits, some bits where like, oh, well, Batman he needs to fight the Reaper. And the Reaper's got guns, so
I'm gonna use a
I
gun.
think yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like, no, Batman, maybe you should use the gadgets that you're known for.
Yeah.
Because everything up to the last panel, probably, of the first issue, I was like, oh, this is really good, setting up a really good story. And then he pulls out the gun that killed his parents to take on the Reaper. I'm like, oh my goodness.
See,
Oh my goodness.
if he
What's that
if he just pulled out a gun, I would like, okay, I sort of get that logic. But when it had to be specifically the gun that killed his parents, I was like, okay,
well, not even that. It's just like, of all you got an entire Wayne resources. Why a normal gun?
Yeah, when you get like a Uzi or something.
You got something that you can attach, like you can put as part of your suit or whatever.
Yeah.
No, you pick up a gun because the story wants you to pick up a gun, and then you team up with Joe Chill, who killed your parents, because that's what the story wants. It's like Joe Chill can't do anything that a normal thug can't, like, you know, normal thug's capable of. So why specifically Joe Chill? Just to have his Joe Chill.
Yeah, and like you said, Joe Chill was a run-of-your-mill street thug. So when did he become all of a sudden like a world-renowned marksman thing? Yeah, it made
Batman, the mobsters. So the Reapers come back after X amount of years.
Yeah.
That he's been away, and let me just give you the backstory of what they wrote into continuity afterwards.
Okay.
The Reaper was the Batman in Gotham before Batman. I mean, he's more like the Punisher.
Yeah.
Because he's got the sides and he's got guns. His backstory is he's an older guy, probably about 50, you'd say.
Yeah.
Where would you say he's in his 40s when his wife got killed?
It would have to be in it because technically, if Bruce Wayne's 25 now, it's only his 40s, whatever.
Yeah. So then he disappears for X amount of years.
Yeah.
They 30 to 25, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he comes back. He puts on his Reaper armor. Like this, he comes back to the city and he's like, "This city's gone worse since I left."
Yeah. So let's kill everyone.
Yeah, slash up some hookers that we see just randomly walking in the street.
Yeah.
Corruption, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a bit out of order because they didn't do anything to him.
Nope. No.
And funny enough, he hid his entire Reaper suit underneath like a bulky pimp jacket and a hat. And then we kind of walked over there and then when they say, "Oh, do you want to have some fun or something to that degree?" He goes, "No," and he just slashes them. It's like, right.
It's like, that's so uncalled for. Exactly, so uncalled for. Wow.
Yeah. But the reason he disappeared is because Alan Scott Green Lantern was operating in Gotham during this time. And he had an encounter with the Reaper, and the Reaper's like, "No, I'm getting out of here. I can't deal with Green Lantern. I'm just a guy with a leather armor, blades, and a gun. I better get out."
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, he's stirring out a little bit of trouble. Batman's like, "All right, let me fight this guy, this Reaper. Let me see what's happening down there." Kick the Reaper in the chest, and Reaper just tanks it and just like,
literally. No.
Then he starts making a mockery of Batman.
And
lets him get away somehow, but.
And then Batman's like, "Hey, I need to talk to the criminals and join forces to take down this guy."
Yeah, like
even though the criminals have probably killed more guys than the Reaper has.
And not only that, but none of these people can be trusted because they're all going to betray me once I've dealt with the problem.
Yeah.
And then only that, the cops are after him, like we were saying before, because now he's helping the mobsters, trying to save them. And Gordon's like, "That man is evil now because he's keeping criminals alive."
Yeah.
So SWAT, let's go after him as well. Like, "Oh, come on, Gordon. You know, you're written in such a way that you have to basically go against Batman, even though logically speaking, Gordon, well, he'd have to be a bit more of a push for him to get there.
Yeah, we'll have at least talk to him.
Yeah, when you look at it, Batman saved the criminal from dying.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean he's teaming up with the criminals.
No.
Logically speaking, Gordon would be like, "Okay, he saved a life, and that's what his goal was." Right?
No.
Yeah. Do you want to run by Bruce's stalkerish behavior?
Yeah.
To point out.
So, there's a woman, Rachel, not Rachel from the Dark.
Rachel.
Yeah, not her. She comes back to Gotham to become a nun,
Yeah.
and Bruce is like,
Rachel, by the way, Rachel Caspian, who is the daughter of Judson Caspian, who is the Reaper.
Yeah, and he just is on her case the whole time. She's like, you know what? Nah, I'm not looking for a boyfriend or anything. You know, I'm just here to, become one with God. Bruce, I don't think so. Everywhere she goes, he's just there.
Yeah. He appears wherever she is. He just said, like story wise, it just appears there.
Yeah,
you know.
And
she can't get away from him.
He used his detective skills to do that, which makes it even more creepier.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you could use detective skills to find the Reaper, maybe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, no, what are you talking about?
I was gonna stalk this woman. Nah, it's alright. And then out of nowhere, he's like, Rachel, I love you. Marry me. What?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she still hasn't said yes to anything to you yet, but okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. And then, is it in the second part where... No, it's in this part, yeah, where she's like, oh, my dad's dead. Cool. I'm becoming a nun.
That's the final part, yeah.
Okay.
That's the part 4 of this comic, not full circle, but okay. Yeah. Well, yes. Okay.
And even Leslie Tompkins is like, Bruce, slow down.
You know, yeah. You gotta get. What are you doing?
Yeah. This isn't right.
Leave the poor girl alone. You know.
But I love her. You don't even know her, dude.
Yeah. That's why it's so. See, that's the awkwardness of this compressed time frame.
Yeah.
Because we're reading it like 4 issues. We don't know how long it is. Say if they diaried it and it was a legit year, you'd be thinking, all right, maybe all right. But it just seems like it takes place in a month or a couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And yes, that is very. How'd you get from that
to that? Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
from me, how I've read it, I took it as this is in a short time period because there's no way the Reaper would be going around for like a year, killing people and stuff.
Yeah.
And Batman would be like, put that on a side burner, and let me just follow this chick.
Let's put it this way. In Batman vs Superman, where Superman's like, oh, Batman's burning people, his symbol into people, and he's causing trouble and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when the stress gets too much for me and the world turning against me, I tell you what, allow Batman. I'm just gonna fly away on my soul quest.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, that's typical behavior, but it's one of those things where, it's not really justifiable. You put one thing on the side to do another thing, which is way less important.
Yeah.
Or perceptively way less important.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's parts of this story I like, and parts that I don't like. I do like that there's a Batman before Batman, and when he comes back, he's just kicking the crap out of actual Batman.
Yeah.
And I do like he's lethal as well, because it just shows you the different type of character he is. He starts then slashing up. He's like, all right, there's criminals here, and the cops don't protect them, so I'm going to take out the cops, because they're part of the problem now. Even to be fair, some of them are corrupt and some of them aren't corrupt. Yeah. He just lumped them all into one and said, I'm just going to take them all out.
Yeah, I have no time to judge who's killing them all.
So his journey gets murkier and murkier.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, not that you can side with him to begin with, but he doesn't start off... Well, he just slashes them prostitute for doing nothing, but then he just gets worse and worse as he goes along.
Yeah.
And you're like, this guy's unhinged. And he needs to be kind of
stopped.
Yeah.
No matter.
But they contrived bit where somehow, like, Batman's then decided they've had an encounter with the Reaper, the criminals, Joe Chill and Batman. Then Batman calls Joe Chill to meet him at Crime Alley.
Yeah.
Where Joe Chill killed Batman's parents, and then Batman beats him up, pulls his mask down. It was me all along.
Yeah, it was me, Austin. Yeah. It was. That was another thing. I was sitting there, like, this is so contrived.
Like, why are you pulling your mask down in front of Joe Chill?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? See, okay, fair enough. He needs to know, but it's just like, why is
Yeah.
it so important that you decide to irrationally do something rather than thinking, well, if this guy survives or this guy lives or whatever, he's going to know who I am.
Yeah.
So he only takes off his mask so the Reaper can then shoot Joe Chill in the head, and Joe Chill can't tell the secret. Like, right,
Yeah. Convenient. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and the whole Bruce always talking to the gun saying, "Father, once I'm done, I'm gonna kill Joe Chill."
Yeah. It's like
Weird.
I'm not saying they're maniacs, but it's just like the mindset is like everyone here is just a bit off key.
Yeah.
Probably the most consistently person written here is the Reaper because he's just murdering people straight up.
Yeah. Or even like Alfred and Leslie Thompkins, they're probably written because they're literally the whole time like, Bruce, sort yourself out, man.
Yeah.
Why are you doing all this?
And I do like how the Reaper kind of not realized there was ways, but it's like they have their battle and on top of like a Wayne construction area.
Yeah.
Somehow they teleport over there as well. That's the thing. They're on the streets where the crime alley is, and then in one panel, Batman's kind of. It looks like he's flying, even though he isn't. The Reaper's above him shooting.
Yeah.
Even not. And they teleported to the top of the building. Like, I don't know if they're supposed to grapple over there or something like that, but from the ground up there, where the building's all the way across stage, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it didn't look. The art for that scene wasn't the best.
But I do like how they had their battle. Obviously, the Reaper has to lose because it's a Batman book at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he's ripping onto the construction. He's like, "Oh, yes, I realize kind of the error of my ways. Ish, you are a worthy successor." And then he just basically drops from the building.
Yeah.
Because in a way, I'm looking at it like my way doesn't work, and I've realized that now.
Yeah, after killing like 100 people.
Yeah. And even the people before that, when I was in the city, when there was no Batman.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it goes out the way he started.
Yeah.
And then Batman decides he's not going to use the gun no more. It's like, so what was the point of the entire story arc where he pulled out the gun?
Yeah. There wasn't no point.
No, there wasn't no
point.
And this is where you're saying about the end where Rachel's like, oh, my father. Like, Bruce goes to Rachel to, continue their conversation about marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
And Rachel's like, oh, no. It turns out my father's the Reaper. And I can't. I have to be a nun to
repent for his sins.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah.
I get the idea of it, but the way they
handled.
most in this story execute very
muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of like as a story as a whole? Let's put it with Full Circle. So tell me what you think of like some points in Full Circle, and then we'll run through the story as a whole.
Oh, like I preferred Full Circle.
Yeah.
Because Bruce was acting normal again.
All right, so let me just run through the people. This story, Full Circle, takes place years later. Batman is with Robin.
Yeah.
And the Reaper's back out in town, doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Rachel comes back because she thinks it's her dad. They never found the body, though, so in comics, he could have come back from the dead. Turns out to be Joe Chill's son took the armor. Joe Chill's daughter is teaming up with the son, and they've got Joe Chill's son has a grand
his own son, Joey Chill.
Yeah, exactly. So is it Joe Chill Jr. and Joey Chill?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I hope I don't think it's the case, but his daughter must be Joanna Chill, right?
Nah, it was something else.
It wasn't. No. I can't remember the name of the daughter.
Maybe her pre-adopted name would have been Joanne Chill, but
I tell you as well, this is so very questionable as well because there's so Joe Chill's daughter is like right. So it could be the Reaper's daughter, Justin Cassian's daughter, Rachel.
Yeah.
Maybe my dad's back. I tell you what I'll do. I'll dress as a streetwalker.
Yeah.
And lure him out to find him.
It's
what?
like,
What? You need to smack in the face for that.
Exactly. It's like, do you know what happened last time your dad met streetwalkers?
Yeah.
He murdered them.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Oh dear. It just made me laugh because I think Leslie Tompkins, what are you doing there, Rachel? And she's like, don't hide that away from me because she's wearing like a big furry jacket sort of
Yeah.
thing. And then then she has to reveal what she's wearing. Les Tompkins is like,
Hmm.
woman. She didn't say
Yeah.
it like that, but
But
I can tell from
her
the
inner
expression that
monologue
was
was
drawn on
like,
her face.
yeah, he's like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. This story just seemed it flowed better personally
Yeah.
as well.
Because it's like a prestige format one shot, yeah?
Yeah. And like no character didn't seem crazy
Yeah.
out of character.
Yeah.
Um. I kind of the Joe Chill Jr. bit, how he found out about the Reaper was a bit weird though.
Yeah,
How?
because so Joe Chill Jr. somehow followed Joe Chill when Batman unveiled who he is to Joe Chill,
Yeah.
and then saw the Reaper shoot Joe Chill in the head. And he said, I couldn't see Batman's face even though he was under a street lamp in the
Yeah.
night, because I was too far away, which is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like how when they do capture Batman somehow, two thugs.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's because he's fighting the Reaper. Batman's fighting the Reaper, and he thinks it's Judson Caspian, so he's like all out in Reaper's face,
Yeah.
destroying him. And Joe Chill's daughter,
Attacks him,
uh,
innit?
yeah.
Yeah.
And when he took off his mask, Batman's mask, he's got like a disguise on it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
That
I mean,
threw me off at first. I was like, wait,
yeah,
what? Did he pay someone else to be Batman? But then
yeah,
does that person know that he's Batman? Yeah, it confused me for a bit, then I clocked on what was going on. And I did like Robin's inclusion in this. I was like,
yeah.
oh, Robin's cool.
Even though he's like, I think he was saying about let Joe Chill die or some oddness
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't mean it like in a harsh way.
Mm.
Just like I think he was rescuing someone else, and he's like, well, and Batman's like, no, we didn't leave anyone behind.
Yeah. He's like, that's why Batman's so cool.
Yeah, but it was good as well because Robin was, I don't want to say tackling the Reaper, but he was like, well, I can't take this guy. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna,
I'll have to trick him to get him
Yeah.
to follow. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, man. It was this. I would say read this over year 2, but you need to read
Yeah,
year
yeah.
2 to understand.
yeah, because this is more like I don't want to say Sins of the Father thing, but you can't the feud that's going on
Yeah.
has to stop at some point.
Yeah.
Sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And it's a neat story in itself, in the sense of the Chills are kind of like they're all criminals.
Yeah. They just the wrong family. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of be like, at some point, you gotta turn your stuff around.
Yeah. And I like that. Even Batman sort of says that to him, innit? Like, the circle's got to end now.
Yeah,
And he says to Joey Chill, I'm not going to kill your daddy. And it's like, oh, thank you, Batman. You're so cool. And then,
that's because Robin's there about the same age as Joey Chill.
yeah.
To say, yeah, he's big, he's scary, but he's not a murderer or something. Like, you can. No, he didn't say the words I'm saying, but he just like he gives a bit more. When a kid your age is telling you, leave it out, son. You kind of you do dial it back a bit.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I should. Maybe I shouldn't kick him in the face. Yeah, yeah.
But as an entire overall story, what do you think? What did you think of the whole lot?
Overall, I'll say it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, like always, there's bits that are good, bits that are bad. Though the bits that are good were taken and made into the animated film Master of the Phantasm.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have preferred it. I mean, look, I would like to see the Reaper in a Batman, like as one of the. I mean, even if he's like the secondary villain, not
Yeah.
a second, like a second villain, a co-villain
Yeah.
at some point. Like, to do him well
Yeah.
has a great story behind it, in the sense of like, this is a Batman who's gone too far, or this is
Yeah.
basically the Punisher in the Batman universe.
Because, like, I thought, like, while reading this, I thought, oh, it would have been cool in the new The Batman film. Because, that's meant to be
Yes.
set in year 2, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was like, oh, if the Reaper was in it as well, but who knows?
I was also thinking that. I was thinking they're sitting in year two, maybe. They've got the Riddler in it,
Yeah,
and I suppose they could have the Reaper in it as a side villain
yeah,
because they didn't put much advertising around him, and he's like so less known that he could be in there.
yeah.
But I don't think they're going to for some reason.
No, probably
Because
won't.
then he would have murdered all the villains.
Yeah, there wouldn't be none. Yeah,
Yeah, and then there's not enough. I think there's not. Well, with the Penguin Riddler in it as well, there's probably not enough story for another character in there who's going to be murdering everyone else on the side.
yeah,
So yeah, I'd like to see some a kind of I want to say an animated movie or a live action take on him. I mean, they could probably missed a boat in Gotham where they could have just slipped him around.
yeah. It could have. Yeah,
But yeah, I think he deserves a well written story
yeah.
in
I
the
totally
sense of
agree.
this Batman here does it this way, this guy's doing it this way, and he corrupts it in Gotham. You can't. That's too far.
Yeah. Gotham of all places. Yeah. But yeah, yeah. It was okay.
Yeah. Okay, Batman Year 3. Written by Marv Wolfman and the art by Pat Broderick. The Batman comic, 436 to 439 in 1989.
Yeah.
Now, this story, unlike the other two, it flashbacks to the past, but takes place in the present
Yeah.
of the actual timeline.
Yeah.
Which is 12 years. Dick Grayson's been active for 12 years. So I don't know if they're saying he's been Robin for 10 years and he's been Nightwing for 2 years. You don't know. You don't get the exact timeline.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's the case.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And this kind of like this is after Jason Todd died.
Yeah, literally just after, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And Batman's just like beating up a whole bunch of people, being irrational.
Yeah.
And it's a good parallel because Dick Grayson's actually trying to solve a crime. Like mob bosses people are getting shot down and stuff like that. The criminals, right?
Yeah.
The reason it relates to Robin is Tony Zuko, who killed Dick Grayson's parents,
Yeah.
is involved here. He's got a ledger, which has all blackmail material. And so Batman and Nightwing, who don't know this, are both trying to find out who's causing all the ruckus.
Yeah.
Batman is trying to find out by talking with his fists. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And Nightwing's actually doing not clean up, but he's like coming in there after Batman's already left, and he's just trying to solve problems that Batman's caused.
Yeah.
As well as use detective work to work things out. And they both come to the same conclusions, just like in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just shows how out of control Batman is after Jason Todd died. And at sometimes in these issues, I thought like he wants to fight everyone. He wants to fight Alfred and Nightwing. Like,
Yeah.
Batman, you gotta cool off a little bit, man.
It's like, dude, chill. You want to fight the guy who basically raised you and your
The guy
son.
who's at this point probably like his son because of
Yeah.
the 12. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, look, but it basically is Batman Year 3 because the flashbacks show Dick Grayson's parents dying and then how he trains to become Robin. There is a very, very awkward ish. So basically, he takes Dick Grayson to the Batcave.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson's whose parents just freshly died, and Joe Grayson got transferred to an orphanage for a little bit while all the paperwork was going through.
Yeah.
And decides, oh, you know what? Alfred, I think I should show the boy the place. No, and Alfred's like, Bruce, maybe not. No, Alfred, the place. No, Bruce, no. The place, Alfred. Okay, and then he just basically shows him the Batcave. And I'm like, like Alfred's like, this is not rational behavior because you don't know this boy from Jack.
Yeah, literally, he don't know.
But so Bruce goes into the cave in his clothes, right?
Yeah.
And then for some reason, as they're walking down the stairs, there's a shining light in Dick Grayson's face. Okay,
Yeah.
so then when he rubs his eyes, he looks forward. There's Batman, right? But the panel's very unfortunate because Batman's like got his hips, hands on his hips, right,
Yeah.
standing upright. You know how it is when you're back straight because your hips get thrust forward,
Yeah.
and Dick Grayson's head's like right there
Oh wow.
on the panel. Yeah, and it's just like, wow, that's very awkwardly drawn.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, look, to be fair, he actually says you've got to train until I think you're ready, and it's like a set period of time,
Yeah.
like I think half a year or years or something like that. But there, it's not like he just decided, you know what,
You're Robin
you
now.
yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they showed the old 80s computers as well. It's like, yeah, you got to keep up with technology. It's like, when we look at this now, we're like, technology? Jeez.
Yeah. Like,
You know,
he's got more technology than his pocket right now, but okay.
yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Which is very, when you, like, that's what dates this somewhat.
Yeah. See, like the other two didn't have any of that, so they sort of got around it. But yeah, showing that kind of dates your stuff.
Now, I'm sure, I'm going to point out, but I'm sure you realised, because I think when I was reading this, I didn't realise it at the point, but your boy Tim Drake's in this.
Yeah. Which I find a bit weird.
No, I find it a bit contrived. It's like because the story after this
Yeah.
is A Lonely Place of Dying, where
When he comes, Robin, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, so you set him up here to appear there, and it's like, okay, well, you know what, we kind of set him up from the beginning, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, well, he didn't need to be here because he's only here. It's like, oh, my son Timmy is a fan of the Flying Graysons. Do you want to take a picture of him? And little Timmy there, it seems to be unable to speak or for some reason at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Timmy, I'll take the picture with you. Then he's only there to witness Nightwing do the quadruple, triple flip thing that he does.
Oh yeah.
As Dick Grayson. Then to watch their parents die or whatever. But strange enough, the panels are always kind of, when Tim Drake's there, he's kind of in the panel. It's like, so this kid's important, but not important in this story, but it's important later on. But he's kind of foreshadowing, but a bit too blatantly.
Like flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Because the quadruple, triple flip, I'm calling it, is important because that's what Tim Drake remembers that only 4 people in the world could do.
yeah.
And he saw Dick Grayson do it. And then he sees Robin doing it from the multiple camera angles they somehow had in the wherever it was that he decided to do like when he was chasing criminals. And then Tim Drake's like, that's the guy. 10-year-old Tim Drake's like, yeah, that's how I solve the mystery of who Batman is.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Sure.
I mean, you know what? I never read this before. I only read this afterwards.
Yeah.
So Tim Drake, when I was reading it, Tim Drake's a really good detective.
Yeah.
Is what they told me, right?
Yeah.
And he's so good, he figured out who Batman was, right? But then I see the way he figured it out, and I'm thinking, come on!
Yeah, anyone really could have figured it out.
Yeah.
See, this is the one of the few times I'll give praise to the New 52 when they gave Tim Drake his new origin. It made him a lot smarter than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he hacked into Batman's computer and that's how he found out who Batman was. Rather than, hey, this guy can do a quadruple flip. Robin can do a quadruple flip. Oh, wait. That means he's Dick Grayson and then Batman must be Bruce Wayne. Okay, huge leap in logic, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. But the rest of the story is like, look, I mean, Tony Zuko he served his time in prison, gets freed, and then he gets shot down.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, okay, if Tony Zuko's got the ledger, and someone's killed Tony Zuko, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Someone else, I think his attorney or someone like that.
Yeah.
Double crossed him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, then Batman and Nightwing have got to find the ledger before this guy, and they work it out. They work out where it is, only for Dick Grayson to get there, so he can get battered by a crowbar or wrench pipe or pipe wrench or something like that, right?
Yeah.
To imitate
Jason.
Jason Todd sort of getting beaten to death, and it's just like, yeah, but this dude, this balding old guy, who somehow managed to sneak up on Dick Grayson, who's trained by Batman. I mean, like, you know, you can tell it. Batman. I don't want to say Batman can sneak up on Dick Grayson all the time, but just like you need that level of skill, right? No,
Yeah.
just walks up to him, smacks him across the head, and now we can't fight him off. Like he dodges the first hit, and he kicks the guy, and then he's just taking pipes to the head. It's just like, yeah, but it's a bit contrived because just of the Jason Todd thing.
Yeah, and it's a bit too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Nightwing manages to, you know, get the upper hand, it's just like, oh, Batman's run over for Jason. Like, you know, oh, this is Jason. Even though he's nowhere near, like they're on some sort of somewhere. Okay, this is the Orcus ring, right? They look like they're on the ground, but they're not.
Yeah.
The way it's drawn, they're in the church bell tower ish. But then there's muck and there's, you know, it's very odd because sometimes it looks like they're on the ground and sometimes it doesn't. I think it's just because of the angles of where it is, because you could say they're not in a courtyard, they're actually in the bell tower, but because there's grass, everything, it looks like bushes, and why would bushes be up there? And trees and stuff.
Yeah, it's the art's not the greatest in this.
Yeah. But Batman's running there and he's looking up the bell tower. So what's coming? How can he see that Dick Grayson's getting beaten to death by a pipe wrench and going, "Oh no, this is just like Jason when Jason got beaten to death"? He's like, you can't see him; he's all the way up there.
Yeah.
You know? Only for the guy to then, you know, reach for the like Dick Grayson's got it. Guy tries to do a spear on Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson sidesteps and he falls out of the building. Yeah, and then that's that. But then again, I guess at the end of the issue, Dick Grayson's like, oh, you know, he's gone to his mum and dad's grave to tell them, oh, you know, I've had a grand adventure and I haven't talked to you guys for a long time.
Yeah.
Batman's a bit more chill now-ish, because it's like, Dick's took some sense into him. Oh, and then there's sense of it's like, he's not come to terms with what I have to Jason, because he is like, I've removed anything to do with Jason from the Batcave. Not that Jason doesn't exist, but, you know, my failure never, not even saying my failure never happened, but just like, I don't want to be reminded of this.
Yeah. But then it kind of contradicts everything later on because, actually, no, it doesn't, because he puts the stuff back, right? And then
Yeah.
He has the costume there to always remind him of what happened and how he can never fail a child again, even though he does it several times later. But
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, look, as far as so parts of year 3, I think were actually better than parts of year 2, and it's the idea of it as a smaller scale story about the two guys who, let's look at where they are now from where they were before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say they were happy and go lucky, but Batman's having a miserable time, and the relationship's really strained from the point where, oh yeah, I'll show him the Batcave and he can be my cohort. To let's shout at each other because we got problems and we don't.
Yeah, it's problems we don't want to talk about.
We're not taking steps to resolve them.
Yeah, like, you know, a normal father and son should do, but you know.
Yeah, but this is look. This is Bruce Wayne though.
Yeah.
This is Batman, so I could get his behavior. That's the way he's kind of written.
Yeah, it's true.
Typical for him.
Yeah, the detached father figure that. When his sons are doing great, he's all about it. But then, when they question something he does, it's like, get out my house.
Yeah.
Sure. You know.
Yeah, that's the best way I can put it.
Because, like, it's proven he's done it to all the Robins at some point. He's kicked them out because they've said something. Like, yeah. Great guy.
What would you say to from all the parts that we discussed, I'll bring them up because I know there's different bits and pieces. Batman Year 1, the comic book. Would you say that people read it?
I'll say read it, yeah.
Batman Year 1, the animated movie, would you say bother?
Nah, don't bother.
Well, okay, now this is what I will say personally.
Yeah.
If you read one, or if you've seen one or the other, you find them good. But if you read them both, you kind of see them as one's a straight adaptation of the other.
Yeah.
So if you best view just one. Otherwise, it kind of looks like they just copy that and put that onto another format.
Yeah.
But I actually like the animation in year one as well. I think some of the voice acting is a bit flat sometimes, but
Yeah. Because
uh,
is it Ben McKenzie? He's
yeah,
Batman, right?
yeah,
And then that's funny because he later becomes Gordon in
yeah. I think
Gotham.
there's parts where he gives good readings and parts where when he's reading the panels where the Batman's thought process is.
Yeah.
He reads it kind of cold though.
Yeah. I think that's
Um,
why I didn't like it because of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when he's talking as Bruce Wayne verbally, he's on point. It's kind of got
Yeah,
more
it's
emotion
great.
behind it.
Yeah. It's just the cold reads. Like,
Yeah.
go to
Okay.
sleep already.
Yeah. So Batman year one, two, Batman year two, including Full Circle. Do you recommend the people bother?
'Cause including Full Circle, I'll say yeah, because I really liked Full Circle.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
Let's separate into two parts.
Right.
Batman year two by itself.
Nope.
Okay. Batman Full Circle by itself.
Yes.
Okay. Even though, like you say, out of context, it's kind of it's a bit awkward.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Out of context, it actually might not be that bad.
You gotta wonder why that lady's dressed as a hooker, thinking her dead
Yeah,
dad.
that's that
I mean,
bit. Yeah.
um,
Because like everything else
and
after
then
that.
and then as well, why I think they kind of give you the lowdown of why Joe Chill is Joe Chill Jr. has a problem with Batman.
Yeah.
But they can only do so much in a small amount of time with his like backstory behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly.
Batman Master of Phantasm, because technically is kind of parts of this.
Yeah. Of course, that's like the greatest animated movie of all time. So yes.
Batman Begins, because I forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah. Also,
Def-
one of the greatest films of all
yeah.
time. I would, yeah, watch it. Yeah.
Batman Year 3,
Um,
kind of ish.
kind of because
Well, yeah, because this is an awkward one. Because it's more like the way I look at it, it's like a placeholder for the next story, which is Lonely Place of Dying.
yeah,
It gives you a lowdown of what happens to the Robin previous,
yeah,
and sets up how the relationship's going for the next Robin to come in to place.
yeah. So
It's actually never been collected together in the books.
no, it hasn't. No.
But I don't want to say it's not really of itself. And there's other versions of I say the Year 3 storyline, but the Batman and Robin going out, meeting, training together for the first time, sort of ish.
Yeah,
In different other books, which I don't want to say are better told, but yeah, this is kind of a byproduct of I've got another story in hand.
yeah.
This is the stopgap.
Like, there's a better version of this in the Batman animated TV series. I can't remember the name of the episode, but they do it better than there. It's not Chiller than Night, is it? No, that's
No.
Batman.
But you're talking about the one where Tim Drake becomes
No,
Robin.
when there's in season one of the seasons of Batman.
Yeah.
It might be when it became the Adventures of Batman and Robin. They have like a basically because Robin just appears in the cartoon. Don't know why he's there. So they do like his origin in a flashback in 2 episodes.
Oh right.
Yeah, and it's done a lot better there. Yeah.
Okay. Because Tim Drake's origin in the animated series is way different. He's basically Jason Todd's origin.
Yeah.
But now Jason Todd is appearing in the anime series comic book continuation.
Yeah, which
so it's gonna be very awkward.
Yeah, which I need to read because it looks amazing.
Yeah. Because Red said they've got his backstory where he died and came back and stuff like that, but it's just more right. So if Tim Drake has got your actual backstory, where you were like a street kid and your dad got killed,
yeah,
then what is your actual backstory?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Definitely work on that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Somehow, because that was like 20 years ago. No one really remembers, so they can change that. With no one being the wiser. So yeah, overall, yeah.
I mean, some good, some bad. What can you say?
Yeah. It's
As
like no comic's gonna have a home run, so
yeah.
I'm alright with it.
Mm-hmm.
Robin
Okay.
Reckoning, that's what it's called. The episode. Yeah.
All
There
right.
you go.
Robin's Reckoning. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure. Right. Okay. So that brings us to the conclusion of this episode.
Yep.
Does any other comic storylines that you want us to have a look at? Let us know.
Yeah.
Until then, I am I am the murderer of streetwalkers.
And I am Joe Chill Junior. Kyle Charles, which makes no sense. And, remember to share this podcast with a friend, give us a like on our YouTube, sub to our channel, and this has been us again. I'll just repeat myself. And thank you for taking a trip around the multiverse with us. Bye.
All right.